Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, say this is the morning podcast with Jacob and Ethan.
This is hell. Dude, you're a little sluggish this morning.
Because it's 6 a.m.
Aren't you just full of life and love at 6 a.m.?
No, I'm not.
It is a little colder in here.
It's been a long week of work. All right, so let's go live in 3, 2, 1, and live.
Oh, now we're live. So as I was saying, been a long week of work, huh?
Yeah.
We're here in Jacob's house, 6 a.m. this morning.
I'm in my section of Ethan's house because I live at Ethan's house.
It's been 1 week.
Welcome to Breakfast is Hell podcast, Thanksgiving edition.
Thanksgiving edition! Jacob, hey Jacob, who do we got in the studio with us this morning?
Ethan brought his turkey into my room.
It's Al, the turkey. There was Al and Travis, but Travis got brutally murdered by raccoons.
Look, I'm not happy about any of this.
I could tell. Jacob also, because you can't see a visual, was scared as hell to get close to the turkey. I needed a picture. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't get close to it. It's just a turkey, Jacob.
I think scared as hell is a bit aggressive, but turkeys are notoriously pugilistic. Turkeys are notoriously aggressive.
Is that what pugilistic means?
Ready to fight is what pugilistic means.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
All right, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know.
I'm Jacob Urach. He's Ethan Urach.
Mm-hmm. You got any Thanksgiving Day
podcast? No, I was going to go visit my sister. Now I might be here. So.
You're equally excited about either option, I see.
Well, I was excited to go to D.C., but Rochelle doesn't want us over. My sister doesn't want us to come with the COVID being as it is. So what else? What else?
What? Ethan, what?
Oh, you're the one who wanted to get up at 6 in the morning. You wanted to get up at 5 in the morning and do a podcast.
It's breakfast is hell, and breakfast is in the morning.
So you're the driver of this conversation.
It's a conversation's a two-way streak here, buddy. But
what do you want from me? What did you tell me to wake up? After I just got done packing 20 tons of flour in 3 days. What do you want from me?
I want to know how life's going. I want to know what we need to do for Thanksgiving.
Do you have to have a podcast to know how my life is going? Can't you just ask me?
When you get home, you're always so sleepy and covered in what you say you were loading flour.
Been doing flour this week. I'm always sleepy. I don't know. I'm working. Week is work time. Weekend is talk time. Week is...
How hard could loading flour be? I mean, really.
But week is also... It's writing time. Week is work and give yourself time to listen to a podcast before you go to sleep time. That's what week is.
I tell you what, I was excited for Jacob when he moved in because... Little known fact about my wife, Maggie. Not exactly a morning person. Doesn't wake up excited to see the sun staring back. Not excited that the world hasn't ended yet. I mean, the sun isn't out yet, Jacob, but you know. And I was hoping Jacob would be different. I was hoping he'd be a morning guy too. He does a lot
I'm a morning person now. Ethan's just trying to trigger me. Look, I get up 5:45 every morning so I can get some writing done because I'm working on something.
Bullshit, you get up at 5:45.
I get up at 5:45. I try to. Some mornings it takes me a little bit longer to get out of bed.
Okay, well, for this week, you are at least 2 for 5. You might be less than that, or at most 2 for 5.
What am I getting up then? Tell me when I'm getting up.
You don't get up after me. Or if you do, you're doing your writing in the dark. Because I can hear you moving around.
I get up before you. That room's still dark when like Monday, I got up and you were still asleep. I heard your alarm go off Monday.
I said 2 out of 3, 2 out of 5 because Monday wasn't a strong day.
Look, it's not a competition of who wakes up first, but I do wake up and I get stuff done in the morning.
Anywho, so this has kind of been a nice little experiment of seeing who Jacob is in the morning. It's been a week long. Stays so far. Probably going to stay through the holidays. And yeah, that's about it.
So trying to trigger me.
What? You want me to drive the conversation, but you get so mad. All I did was bring Al in to have a podcast for Thanksgiving. He's got 2 days left to live.
I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to be happy. I want to be happy.
Yeah. So I was having a conversation with your dad. I wanted to use this turkey fryer. And I said, Al's probably 30 pounds. He said, isn't going to be close to, like, we won't be able to fry him if he's close to 20. So I brought a scale in to see what Al weighs, like, fully dressed or still alive. And I don't know. What do you think I think he'll lose probably 10 pounds after we butcher him.
Oh, you'll pluck the feathers, you cut off the head.
Remove the giblets.
You're going to get rid of the giblets?
Isn't that just the word for guts?
Right. But you got the, I think you have gizzard, you have the neck. People cook these things. The heart.
I'm not.
The liver. Turkey liver.
I just want that carcass.
That's the good part of the turkey.
When was the last? You won't even eat the turkey eggs that Al produces. Al is also not a male. He's a female. You're scared of turkeys. I get it.
I'm not.
Oh, man.
I wake up in my room. It's about 40 degrees. I get up. I set everything up. I tell Ethan, sure, we'll record on a Tuesday morning. Because, he wanted it. He brings in a live turkey.
I did.
And then
you were a
he
little
sits and
excited
berates
to see
me
him.
about how early I wake up. And he asks why I'm not happy.
Is there any more of a Yurok conversation? Why don't you wake up early? Why aren't you happy? What are you doing at work? I mean, not work.
Well, what are you doing? Packing flour? Like a...
Hey. But tell me about that. Clay's got an operation where you stack flour almost all day.
My uncle on our mother's side. Mother's plural apostrophe. So, both of our mother's side, I have an uncle who runs a mill outside of Salida. And I work for him right now. And I worked for him earlier this year. And we mill things. So we take grain and we clean it. Sometimes we take that clean grain and we turn it into flour.
Hell yeah.
And then we put it in the bags.
Put it in that freaking bag.
We put the bags on a pallet. And we put the clean grain in bags and put that on a pallet. And we put that in semis. And they give him money. And then he gives us money for giving him money. And that is how the job goes.
There you go.
That's the...
I mean, but it must feel better, like, doing a more manual job, right? Like, you feel good at the end of the day. When you go to sleep, it's like, yeah, I earned my sleep tonight.
Oh, it's all the same.
It's all the same. One night blurred to the next.
Life's an endless struggle.
Speaking of struggles, do you think Trump's going to openly pardon the turkey this year? Because I feel like this is going to be an awkward conversation, an awkward thing that'll happen because this is pretty much the last thing he gets to do in his presidency. He gets to, publicly pardon a turkey besides all the cabinet shit he's moving around. Or it's not cabinet stuff, but he is doing some like.
He fired a bunch of Pentagon people and installed his loyalists.
Oh,
Yeah.
what is the news saying about that?
News hasn't really covered it much, other than the fact of the firings. I think it's easy to read into what he's trying to do, but
Right, but I mean, it's got to be easy to fix that as soon as Biden gets in.
right. I don't think the thought is though that. I think the thought. No, yeah, you can put whoever you want in. Biden can put whoever he wants in. I think the thought was more. Trump's gearing up to make sure he can keep if he had a chance, to keep the presidency. Make sure he has a chance to keep it. Have some loyalists in there.
Interesting.
That's my read. I don't know if that's too paranoid to take on it or not, but I can't see why else you have a complete 180 at the Pentagon 2 weeks out from the end of your term, unless you're, trying to prepare for some extremity.
Yeah. A coup. I don't know.
So, Ethan, what's been going on in your life? Why haven't the faithful listeners to Breakfast in Hell podcast? Ethan, I think, actually, yeah, let's take this time in Breakfast in Hell podcast.
Finally, the judgment is returned.
No, it's not even, let's give you this time to issue a public statement as to your absence. Let's explain to the people where you've been and what's been going on.
Yeah. So while Jacob's been in the Czech Republic, I've just been chilling here, close to Kip, Kansas. Getting wood ready for the winter. Still need a lot more, but definitely in better shape than last year. Been raising my chickens. Been raising a dog named Bjorn. He's me and Maggie's dog. He officially weighs 80 pounds. Big freaking dog. Really big dog. He probably weighs more than that now. What else? He brutally murdered Bros, which was Moses' brother. These are two black cats that showed up probably 2 months ago. And he was just kind of chomping on its head like a tennis ball. What else? Yeah, I don't know, man. Just been enjoying life. Collecting our eggs, living that domestic farm lifestyle.
What do you say to the listeners who have leveled accusations of being a Nazi at you in the last couple months?
Hasn't
the
happened.
So-called cancel Ethan the Nazi movement. What word do you have for them?
I'm not stepping down, and you don't exist. Pretty much the same message that Trump has had to real people. No, I mean, I don't know if I would feel good if there was a group of people calling me a Nazi and asking me to step down from my podcast. That means our podcast would have a pretty broad. We'd have to really have a lot of markets for a Nazi coup to get back at us.
You mean we'd have to have quite a few listeners kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, like we'd have to have a pretty large outreach, I think.
Right. I mean, some people got to be out there killing the Nazis.
The Nazis, well, okay. The Nazis as they used to exist do not exist. The new Nazis, the neo-Nazis, I don't know anything about them.
Here, Ethan, please give us your hard take on the Nazis. The historical existence of the Nazis.
I went from talking about me picking eggs to defending a subject I don't want to defend.
Who makes the Nazis? Have you ever heard that song?
That's
Of course
a
you haven't.
song?
There's a song by The Fall called Who Makes the Nazis? Who makes the Nazis?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a song I would enjoy.
What have you been listening to? Music.
A lot of Shania Twain. Who else? A lot of jazz too. I listen to the Pandora Jazz station.
Oh, not any specific jazz artist.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a, I don't know, like a coffee shop type deal.
Yeah.
It just blends into the next. So it isn't like the good jazz pieces. It's just kind of...
Well, I mean, like personally, I effing hate bebop. Like, fast jazz, like blah 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 blah, like when they go into several different keys in the span of 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't like that jazz, but you should give "Kinda Blue" by Miles Davis if you want just that coffee house jazz.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one to listen to. "Kinda Blue."
Man, what are some songs? I like "Take Five." I don't know who does that.
And you got like "Take the A Train." You got all the classics. Ooh, who else you really should listen to? This is someone I like, and so you'll probably like him. Is which?
Tell me.
What is her name? Billie Holiday. You should listen to a lot of Billie Holiday. If you just want to, yeah.
How old? Like, I don't know. What time era did she come from? That sounds like a really early 1950s jazz.
Oh, before 50s. I think she's older than the 50s.
You do kind of look like a jazz musician with your hat and your jacket.
We are both, well, I am. I'm dressed up in multiple layers because that's how I get through the night in this room.
I will say Jacob probably has a rougher night than I do.
I'm not even saying I have a rough night. I'm cold.
It's cold in here. Does the wind bother you that much? The wind's been terrible this week.
No, the wind doesn't bother me.
Could you definitively say we have like a different so I mean it probably gets colder in the Czech Republic, but I'm wondering, like, is it way windier in Kansas than the Czech Republic? Or do you feel like the weather's like it is?
It's far windier in the Kansas than the Czech Republic. Czech Republic, if it gets really windy, they don't let the kids play outside.
No way.
They're worried branches are going to fall on them.
They're worried what?
The branches will fall on them.
Really? Are
Yeah.
you joking with me?
Nope.
They won't let kids play outside because of the wind.
In school, yeah, they'll have the kids go back inside.
Yeah. I could see, like...
It freaks them out a little bit when it's really windy. It freaks them out a bit.
Really? I mean, it gets scary, you know, if you're, like, sleeping, you wake up in the middle of the night and there's gales outside.
Because it's the ghosts of your unburied dead.
I find that crazy that they would keep kids in because of a strong wind. But at the same time, if you're talking about branches, yeah, like trees that grow in a climate with not a lot of wind, a little bit of wind can do a lot of damage. Fortunately, in Kansas, all the trees grow sideways.
I don't have a strong opinion on the issue. They want to send the kids inside, let them send the kids inside. If they don't have to.
I do find it. I do want to combat that a little bit.
I'm going to push back against the keeping kids inside when it's windy problem. Is this your new cause?
Well, I mean, just because there's this huge coddling thing in the American way to take care of kids, right?
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
That's why they invented this thing called, like, risk playgrounds. They're like playgrounds built where kids can more easily get hurt, but they learn to weigh risks and, like, versus having fun and stuff.
Like spikes? Is there a bed of spikes they can fall on?
Rubber spikes, yeah. Yeah, it's not like it wouldn't kill them, but it hurt if they fell. What? I'm telling you, this is a real deal.
Who coddles who then? Who's doing the coddling? Where's the coddling happening?
I don't know. It always happens in an imaginary place on the internet.
Right. Because that's, I think of the wealthy families I knew out in the coast. Sure, those kids don't have to work a manual labor job, but they also have to study 15 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
I think of probably kids from around here are coddled more than the kids on the coast are.
Because they're not forced to do as much.
They're not forced to do shit. I mean, the parents don't care about school, or they don't really care about school. And even if they do care about school, it's not like they're, get straight A's and have 7 extracurriculars. The only thing, they're not really going to get pushed into doing anything unless they're an athlete. I mean, that's not even pushing, right? Like, you're not getting on your kid's case because he's not going to weights every morning or something. It's not like down in Texas.
Right.
So there's far more coddling here than there is elsewhere, as I see it. I don't even know if you can call that coddling, right? It's just letting a kid do his thing.
Yeah, like you're not... There was a girl from
Pushing your
college. She
kid?
said in the Midwest that like kids weren't as I don't know. They didn't go after things. They weren't as what do you call it?
Ambitious?
Ambitious as because she was from Virginia, and she had that fear that like if she had a family in the Midwest, they'd just be less ambitious because her argument was there was less to do. Like there's a lot more opportunity for niches on the East Coast, at least in Virginia, which is like hard blue now. I think that's why they got out of there. But yeah, she was worried that like if like setting up shop in Missouri, like kind of just thought there'd be a front porch and a banjo, and that would be the extent of ambition.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think.
Which I mean, I'm not against that either. Okay, just putting
right
it out there.
If I'm going to diagnose lack of ambition, I was talking to someone on Sunday, and my thing is role models. You know, if everyone you grow up around and your adults in your family, you know, they went to school relatively the same place, and then they went, you know, maybe went off to college or went somewhere else for a while and came back. How do I put this? I'm not trying to say that everyone who does a job like it works at a mill is a worthless person, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think everyone should have some passion, something they live for, something they're going after. And so if all you've done in life is you've grown up and you've come back and you work some crappy factory job and you're really just pit-paddling, plodding your way through life, your kid sees that, and your kid's not thinking, man, life, what a gem to be reached for and grabbed. They think, oh, life, what a thing to be suffered through. And so there's not really any value to that ambition. It's a very fatalistic viewpoint that these kids grow up in. It goes back to when we talked about football, right?
Yeah.
That football is the only thing that these have, you know, high school football is the only thing that these kids and these parents have to live for. And that's a sign of a rot deep at the heart of something.
Yeah. That's definitely something you got in your soul, I think, is the football parent mentality.
I have it.
Yeah, like that's a issue that you definitely think about.
Well,
that you have strong opinions on.
Well, I think if I have strong opinions, it's more. I think it's more what it signifies, right? Is that the lack of ambition thing, the lack of hope, the fatalistic viewpoint that you're never going to be able to go anywhere in life, and I think even beyond that. I think there's a very fatalistic viewpoint where you're never going to be able to get out. And then I think there's another viewpoint, especially with poor people. If you want to meet people that really care about money, talk to poor people. Yeah. Poor people are the ones who are the most money obsessed. You know, it's all they understand is money. I had someone asking me about my writing because I finally got a story published.
Hey, hell yeah!
And it's a pretty crappy story. So
Hey, everybody, if on your radio wherever you're listening, give 2 claps to Jacob. I had to snap because I'm holding coffee.
But it makes it. There's a reasonable path now for me to be able to publish a book within a couple years. If this story gets published, I have a few higher cred publications of other stories. I might be able to get a book out in a couple years.
I take you have some ideas if you were to write a book?
I would just cobble together shorts, probably.
Really?
Yeah, shorts and poems. But what I was getting at is someone was asking me, okay, so you finally get your book, and now you can start making your money. And I'm like, no. No, money probably never happens.
Right.
And
J.K. Rowling's the only one was the first woman, I guess, to make $1 million on a book, right?
Well, and you can make money doing genre stuff like J.K. Rowling, but literary fiction, the only way you really get rich from that is, one, you could have movie deals,
right?
Or you can win prizes and then get grants and make money that way,
yeah.
Or you can have a lifetime of well-written novels, and eventually someone like Cormac McCarthy, when he writes a new novel, makes money off it.
Yeah.
But Cormac McCarthy did not make money probably for his first 7 novels.
And he's Cormac McCarthy.
He's arguably the next American who should win the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Right.
Right. So if you're that good, maybe
Herman Melville. Bob Dylan, Cormac McCarthy.
But the argument, what I'm trying to get is this person just really couldn't understand, because to him, the whole point of this writing endeavor had been to eventually be in a position to make lots of money. And so the fact that I was doing something that wasn't eventually, I was working so hard at something that wasn't eventually going to make me lots of money, just, it did not compute.
Yeah.
Like the computer glitched. But why? Why would you do that? Why?
You're wasting time. You're wasting effort.
And so I do think when your only ideal is money, I think that can help. If you feel like you're trapped where the making of money is something beyond you and for other people, and that's the only thing worth striving to, that's your whole universe. That's the sun in your sky. And you don't have other things. I mean, even people on the East, I'm not saying people on the coast are more noble, but and a lot of people out there have money, so things like status become important, right? It's not just that you make lots of money, but maybe it's that you're a known person in the city, in New York City. That's a real accomplishment for people, or that you have good connections. So there are things to strive towards, but single-minded lusting after money, unless you and I think that combined with a feeling that it's impossible for you to get, or that the getting of it involves some Herculean amount of labor, is something that can crush the spirit.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. But we are getting close to football state, which...
It's this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Oakley's
so 2 towns I've lived in are going to state, Andale and Oakley.
Oakley's going to state.
Oakley for the first time in history. I'm friggin' so jacked.
Even Ethan didn't get it to state.
Even Ethan, especially Ethan.
College football player.
Especially Ethan didn't make it to state. But Ivan, my youngest brother, is. So that's pretty cool.
Does Ivan start, though?
God, you are a dick. No, he doesn't start. He's a freshman. What was he going to say, though? I mean, he gets subbed in, and he's like part of like 3 guys to get subbed in as like for a specific task on defense.
Ivan's a legend.
No, he is definitely. You talk about status. Homeboy is. People like talking to Ivan in high school. He's got his little friends. That's for sure. He's
the kind of guy who you just at a party. He's like a Coke bottle. You shake him up, but you don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure.
Oh,
that's his. That's his.
That's
vibe.
you. That's you.
No.
That's not Ivan. Ivan's water. Ivan's the seltzer water. It's always good, always popping, but never crazy. When you open up a can of seltzer water, you know what you're gonna get.
I'm not crazy.
If your metaphor about shaking up a Coke bottle and like maybe throwing it in an oven with a cake full of Mentos, that's an accurate description of you. Yeah, I'd say that.
I'm really very calm in day-to-day life. Very calm. Be orderly in your day-to-day life so you can be chaotic in your work.
Okay. All right.
I live by that.
You live by that?
I live by that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. These are crazy times.
Are they, though?
It's better to know. It's better to be somebody who, well, not that this is you, but a person you don't know who you're going to get in a time when you don't know what'll happen tomorrow.
I don't feel like these times don't seem so crazy to me. They seem pretty much normal. Life's pretty much the same. Just the way we feel about it's different.
Do you think it's crazier now than the first month of Trump getting elected?
No, that was
dude, because people were losing their minds. They were losing their minds.
How do I say this? I guess I've been reading a book called 100 Years of Solitude, and it's kind of a retelling of world history, but through Latin American eyes. And there are revolutions and massacres in streets, and I guess just in the grand scheme of things, like of the chaos countries and peoples can go through, America having a slightly autocratic president and dealing with a disease is orders of magnitude less crazy than having a revolution that stretches for decades.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's everything. It's kind of like the rich and their issues of having status and connections. Like it's not nearly as crazy as like a poor person unable to eat, but like for some reason it's a huge deal to them. It's kind of the way America is. We're really struggling with the virus and a new president.
Oh, I think it's also a way. I think it's a symptom. All right. Reel back. So, the online media found that to make money, you have to do what is called clickbait. We all know what clickbait is. Mm-hmm. You have to make a headline that grabs you. And one of the things that grabs people or that drives engagement online and social media is extremes. Like if I said about a movie, like, yes, it is good. It's okay. That's not going to get as many clicks as...
You're not going to make money on that.
Right. You gotta take it up. Oh, Avengers is the next coming of Jesus Christ. Or you got to have something like...
Like, instead of there's a turkey on a podcast, we need to have Heath in response to allegations and Nazi propaganda.
Right. And so I think that how we think is to some extent indicative of the things we consume. And so when all the media we're consuming is this paradise or gloom, like this 10 or 0 kind of thing, that our reactions to events in our life become unmeasured accordingly. You know, like I can't get anyone to talk about COVID like it's either, because if I talk to people about COVID, it's either the flu or it's the plague.
Right.
And I can't get anybody to come to a middle ground between the flu and the plague. Like, it's worse than the flu. No one's getting brain damage from the flu, or at least not many people. But it's also not the plague. It's really hard to die from COVID. Like, someone was talking about Trump on a podcast I was listening to. And they said, Trump got lucky that he didn't die. And I said, you fool who does not understand statistics. If there's a 20% chance of death for people over 70, you have to be unlucky to die.
Right.
4 out of 5 people over 80 or over 70 still do not die. It is the unlucky minority of people who die.
Plus, you're talking about a guy who's had perfect health care his whole life.
Right, who's actually in quite good health, it seems.
Yeah.
Despite his weight.
He's a big guy.
He's a big guy. He's tall, too. So, I guess just, you gotta, as Aristotle said, the sign of intelligence is being able to hold 2 contradictory ideas in the mind at the same time. Like, it's a sign of a weak mind to need to go to extremes.
Interesting.
Or the need for absolute certainty.
So do you have a rule on Thanksgiving? Who needs to go to Thanksgiving? Should you stay home? Who should you invite?
Right. What would I say to people?
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have a rule? It'd be fine if you don't.
Well, my personal thing is trying to avoid bars, trying to avoid restaurants. If I go out, trying to keep spacing. And then not going to any large gatherings. I think it's a little bit weird because I think because you and me, we could have it, not have any symptoms.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit complicated because let's say there's someone who's 50, 60, 70, and they're not worried about you coming.
Yeah.
Like, should you be? And it's hard. I ranted about this in the podcast I released Sunday. I'm talking about old people and Dylan's not wearing masks. I'm looking at you. You're 300 pounds. You got this mask around your chin, and you're definitely at least 80. If I could be asymptomatic, like, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get very sick at least. So
yes.
I think it's probably better to avoid. I think another thing you can do is not just avoid those older people, at-risk people, but I think large gatherings, it's like, so let's say you and I have it, right?
Right.
And you give it to me, and I only go see other people rarely, so it takes time. By the time I would go see somebody else, you might develop symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about COVID forever, but if you slow down the rate at which you're seeing other people, or you slow down the group size at which you're seeing other people, there's more time for the train of transmission to be detected. Whereas if you just if you're going out a lot or you're going out to large crowds, I get it from Ethan. I go to a packed bar tomorrow. I give it to 50 other people before we realize that someone in that chain got infected.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helps. But, I'm not king of the world, so I can't determine what people do. And it would be nice if...
That's your rule.
That's just how I see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that everyone's weighing their own things accordingly and trying to do the right thing as they see it. So I'm not harshly coming down on people who see things a different way. I do get irritated when I feel like people have just given up, or when people just call people sissies if they don't go out.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the camp that's you should go home and see your family if you're able. I don't think you should have I don't think you should get angry if your family's well, we're not going to do anything big. But if you can't do that, I think it's perfectly fine for young people to get together for Thanksgiving. I think that's fine.
Well, I think it's absurd. I think people really went to this. I feel like I've had a very measured response to this the whole way through. I was still seeing people in March.
Of course
and
you
April.
have. You're Jacob.
I'm Jacob. I am the even keel. But I was still seeing people when Ethan and Maggie were buying food for a month and holing up. And
oh my gosh, dude. Don't even talk to me about this. When you were in the Czech Republic, it might be the football issue, but you talked about people going to football games last fall and how stupid they were. You don't make this camp that you've been middle of the road with this. You definitely freaked out. It is easy to say that you freaked out about it more than me and Maggie. That's for sure. I did stock up though, and I stocked Grandma up. I will say that.
Last fall? What?
Yeah, last fall.
Huh?
Yeah. It was November, December-ish. You talk about high school football. Might have been this summer, I think. It was this summer. It wasn't last fall. It was this summer. Because you were mad that they were going to have football games going on.
I still think that's ridiculous. I don't think that they should have had that. Large gatherings. You should not be having large gatherings.
Right. I think you had a you probably were actually I think this was it, is that they were going to have temperature checks and that they were going to make it safe for you to go to a football game where you thought that was an impossibility. But to say that I'll just say me.
It's okay. You can get defensive.
No,
you can just start throwing things.
This is ridiculous. I'm definitely the more if we're going extremes here, I'm definitely more towards the it's not a big deal thing.
Right. What I'm saying is I've always thought all along the Watchtower, it was important to still socialize, and I think that's something that people have really that they did not do at one point. Mm-hmm. They even said I'm just going to limit myself to the people in my household, or only people I know who are or maybe one other group of people, and I have to know where they are at all times.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to say, you could die from anything, and I think it's important to do your part to help slow the spread, and you probably also want to mitigate your risk somewhat. Mm-hmm. But you still got to see people.
Well, and two, what kind of person are you? The question isn't who you really how you feel about COVID in the midst of COVID. After COVID passes, which it will, what kind of person are you going to be? Because I see a lot of overweight people with health issues losing their minds about it, isolating themselves. And then when this is over, they are still going to be isolated, and they will not try to lose weight. They will not try to be healthier. They're at risk right now, and even now it's it's too late to start training.
If COVID can't make you lose weight, I don't know what will. If COVID can't make you quit smoking, I don't know what will. I'm sorry, but if you're freaking out now about COVID and you're fat, you've had 8 months in which you knew there was a deadly disease that liked people like you.
You could still start today. You could still start after Thanksgiving.
If I had $1 for every fat person I knew that was taking handfuls of vitamins
in this room, you'd have $1.
It's like you don't have to take handfuls of vitamins and sacrifice a virgin to Jesus. What you should do is you should just lose 50 pounds.
Don't say sacrifice a virgin to Jesus.
Isn't that
please.
what you do?
This is not my house. And this is not my room. But let's not offer human sacrifices unless they're yourself to Jesus. That's all I got to say about that.
So you believe in suicide for the sake to Jesus? I don't get it.
Yeah, like if you if the government's going to shoot,
isn't good. You just take a knife to the heart and sacrifice yourself for the family?
No. Talk about becoming a martyr here. Like when the government tells you can't go to mass, but you try to go to mass and you get shot. That's a sacrifice for your faith.
Oh, the persecuted Christians.
Dude.
The persecuted Christians.
Dude.
I got to say, there's something that since I've left Catholicism that just makes me laugh.
It makes me cry.
It's this idea that Christians feel like they're persecuted because it's just so ridiculous.
Thankfully, we live in a world where really as Louis C.K. said, the only religion you need to know is about Christianity because they won. Like that's.
What year is it? What year is it? 2020. What are we counting from? The death of Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, but don't get yourself wrong. There are Christians still being persecuted
in the Middle East. I mean,
in China, pretty much the countries that are losing the religious war.
There's a religious war.
Yeah.
Oh, please tell me what this is.
You're either a country that allows to have a religion, or you're a country that suppresses it. When you're suppressing it, you're losing it.
Don't you dare.
It's gonna shit.
It's
Your
not gonna
about to shit.
Also, time of the podcast where we're gonna weigh Al real quick and then get him outside.
Oh, all right. So this is Dead Space. I think it's a good time for one of our sponsored bits.
Come here, Al.
This podcast is brought to you by Solutio Software Solutions. Solutio, do you need a website for your parish and you don't know how to make a website? And neither does your daughter or your son. But you still need a website.
34 pounds! 34 pounds.
Solutio.
34 pounds. Al weighs 34 pounds.
We'll make you a website. Solutio.
That is...
Maggie and music.
Maggie and music, yes.
Do you want someone to sing at your bar?
Do you want them to take... Okay, first off, I think you actually enjoyed your little ad montage there, but...
These ads, I'm not gonna lie, I've been pleasantly happy with my ability to improv an ad.
Oh my gosh. You know what? If you enjoy it, that's all that matters, Jacob. But I don't think you're gonna make money from it.
Did you listen to the one from the last podcast? Is it coffee or is it shit?
No, I listened to the one before that. I haven't had the chance to listen to the latest one.
Now, I think it's my freaking favorite commercial.
Is it coffee or is it shit?
I think it was actually, is it coffee or is it dust? But
oh, man. That's good. That's really good.
It was good. It should have been shit, though. That would have been more in keeping with the consistency of coffee rounds.
It's in this podcast.
All right, let's get one more fun topic. Let's get a fun topic here to close this one out because we're about out of time, I think.
Hey, no, I wanted to make the majority of the podcast this. We talked about COVID. Sorry, listeners.
I know. I always feel the need to apologize. We talked about the election. We talked about COVID. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
Those are big, and we haven't had an election episode since Jacob got kicked out of an election party. But
I was not allowed to election party because I was going to be the liberal in attendance. So,
yes,
the quote unquote liberal.
But you were the first guy that I know of that talked about who's going to be the conservative runner for 2024.
Oh yeah, well, and I think it's a little. I think it's a bad argument or bad philosophy to try to extrapolate from what's going on right now to what the Republican Party is going to look like in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I do think right now McConnell's trying to signal that he's trying to do damage control where he doesn't want to lose the Trump base.
Yeah.
Because he is worried about that. Just there's about 25% of the country that he's afraid is going to splinter off and just become this rogue, Trump cult. And then that's going to doom the Republicans in 2020.
I did hear,
2024.
isn't it a thing where conservatives are mad with Trump News, Fox News?
Well,
because they had horrible election coverage, right?
Not even. It's more about they called Arizona the earliest of all the major news networks. So after 2000, a lot of the newsrooms really separated the people who make the predictions as to who's going to win states and the actual people covering it to make it more independent. Because Florida was called way too early and it had to be retracted. Anyway, so Fox News Decision Desk is separate from its people.
Yeah.
And so basically Trump got really mad that Fox News was calling. He was hoping that Fox News was going to leave these states uncalled while other networks called them. But they would, because the Decision Desk is independent, so they're going to call it just based on the stats.
Yeah.
So I think part of his strategy in the case of a loss was, okay, some news networks are leaving these places uncalled. That allows me to sow, ambiguity as to who won. But Fox News has pretty heavily come out and said, hey, the fraud claims are baseless. Biden won these states by a substantial margin. We're calling these states. So Fox News has been arguably on the side of fact.
Yeah.
And so now the people who really still want to believe that Trump won are forced to go to farther and farther splintered networks like OAN or Newsweek.
Interesting.
I think it's called Newsweek. Whatever. It might be Newsmax. The one, did you see
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Sidney Powell interview?
No.
Oh, so anyway, one of Trump's lawyers who got fired the day after this came out, but she was on this, I think it was Newsmax, and she had this interview where she blamed the election on a cabal of communists in ties with Venezuela, secretly bribing the Republican governor of Georgia, David Kemp, on air, describing this Venezuelan communist conspiracy, and it's just
beautiful.
It was actually bonkers. And I think my favorite line is that she said that this election challenge in Georgia is going to be biblical. So I'm going to be using that for many things.
Interesting. So we had the election and the COVID. But I wanted to know, I was interested that you're making regular dishes out of the Thanksgiving timeline for pumpkins. Is that going to be, I guess, what are some big foods you're looking forward to this Thanksgiving? Shake your head because it's a crazy, beautiful question.
I don't understand the question.
Yeah, what? You gonna try anything new? You gonna which some of your favorite traditional pieces of food?
You mean for Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
I like the football. Thanks.
Way to not be. Way to not go for anything. I like eating and falling asleep.
I don't know. I like the pie. I don't have strong feelings. I don't have a strong opinion on Thanksgiving
here's my
food.
strong opinion. I love a ton of meat and I love family, but big one is kick the can. Big fan of kick the can.
Is that a coded way to say we should play kick the can?
No, I'm just when I think of Thanksgiving, I think about the awesome biblical kick the can games we've had.
Yeah. Well, we haven't played. Well, what's the last time we played?
2 years ago.
Oh, I'd love to play. I always love to play.
Well, Connor, we'll keep his last name from the record. He joined us for kick the can during Thanksgiving.
One of Ethan's friends.
Yeah, and hit
a
clothesline.
He got literally clotheslined by a clothesline. I'm watching.
Dude, you could decapitate somebody with the clothesline.
Ethan's running away. So we told this guy before the game started, hey, there's a clothesline. There's these two metal poles. You got to be really careful.
Really careful.
And I'm guarding the can. because you have one team go out and they hide, and the other team, you can have one person guarding the can 10 feet away, and everyone else goes and searches for the people. And I'm guarding the can, and I'm watching Ethan take off because he's on the team that's trying to kick the can.
Well, first, Connor sees me in the field. He says, "Ha, got you, bitch."
So Ethan takes off, and I'm watching Connor and Ethan take off, and they round a corner, and they're down a straightaway, and they're heading for the clothesline. And I say, Ethan, duck like he's supposed to. And I'm seeing Connor go behind. And then all of a sudden, I can't see Connor.
His feet are higher than his head.
I don't even see Connor. I just only see Ethan running away. I can't see Connor. And then I hear this low moan. Oh. Oh. And Ethan had ducked. And Connor had ran straight into the clothesline.
Yes.
He does not think it's funny, though, that story.
Dude, it's hilarious because his mom was pissed.
Really?
Yeah, because he broke a tooth when he hit it.
She sent me money because I let him borrow $15 or something once, and she sent me a check.
Really?
Yeah. And I didn't even care.
That's interesting. Who's calling you?
It's just time to wake up.
It's time to wake up? You said you get up at 5.
I do get up early, but I also set alarms. I set alarms in the case that I oversleep. So if I oversleep through my early alarm, I still have my late alarm.
Dude, that drives me crazy when people have multiple alarms.
It's the only way to live.
No.
Because
Because I know people that set alarms for like an hour ahead because the last hour of sleep they get is the best. When they wake up too early and they can go, that's when they go to sleep the easiest.
I set no fewer than 7 alarms a night.
Everything you've said for our Thanksgiving special is invalid. If you're the kind of person who sets 7 alarms every morning, you're having 6 failures before you even go to work.
It's not like I only wake up at the 7th. Sometimes I wake up at the 1st. Sometimes it's the 2nd.
Oh my
gosh. There's different.
7 alarms?
They're never all necessary, but I don't know, man. Just to make sure. I don't want to be late for work.
Nothing says a contingency plan like 6 contingency plans. Well,
I have 2 different methods of setting alarms. So if my laptop doesn't work, I have my phone. If my phone doesn't go off, I have my laptop.
Oh my gosh.
Just on my laptop for a while the alarms weren't working.
You mean your Microsoft Surface Pro?
I had a weird dream last night.
Yeah, that's the first thing Jacob told me when he's getting the coffee ready. I had a dream. I'll talk to you in the podcast.
Oh, I was down around Washington Square Park in New York, like in the Village around NYU, and I was taking part in a production of Alice in Wonderland. And there was one guy they cast. He was kind of tall and gangly, and he was a shitty actor. But they ended up. I could see into the future, and I knew the play was going to be successful because of him. So I had to convince them to keep him. Then all of a sudden, we were all in a park, and there was like 1,000 people, and there was a group of really pretty girls. And then we all started running. We all started running through the streets. And then I was down like around Tribeca, and they had a 9/11 memorial, and giant streams of water were shooting out of the street. And everyone took a knee. And then after the streams of water stopped, I started walking, and then my alarm went off. So I don't know what.
That's why you look so confused this morning.
Well, I don't know what that tells me about my subconscious. What? I don't know.
Am I in trouble here?
Like they say your dreams are supposed to mean something, and that meant nothing, that dream. That was just a bunch of random shit.
Oh, my Lord. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining in this morning. Well, this will probably be up by, I think, tomorrow. I'd like to get it ready to go. And, yeah, thanks for joining me and Jacob on Breakfast is Hell this morning, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Godspeed, John Glenn.